3-2, probability, to find the probability of an event using theoretical or experimental methods. Let's understand probability. The probability of an impossible event is 0, or 0%. The probability of a certain event is 1, or 100%. Otherwise, the probability of an event is a number between 0 and 1, and that number can be a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. The experimental probability of an event is the number of times the event occurs divided by the number of trials. Let's take a look at this. 60 vehicles in a teacher's parking lot. 15 of them are pickup trucks. What's the probability that a vehicle that is picked is a pickup truck? The favorable will be 15 over 60, which reduces to 1/4, 0.25, or 25%. Experimental probability. Let's take a look at a survey. What is the probability that a randomly selected adult would prefer to be at least 40 years old? Think about your total number of adults, and think about the desirable or likely. And so here's the answer. The total would be to add up all the adults, 3,516. The likely would be the persons that are at least 40, which would be 551 plus 300 plus 238. That would be the desirable, and then you can put it in the calculator and get a decimal. Your turn. Pause the video and see if you can come up with the answer. And here's the answer. Theoretical probability is the set of all possible outcomes in an activity, and then taking a look at the likely outcomes. So you're comparing the two, similar to experimental. Now, here in theoretical, we want to talk about equally likely outcomes, and those are when an outcome in a sample space has the same chance of occurring. For example, a cube. When you throw a cube, it's equally likely that you can get any one of the sides facing up. So getting a 5 on a roll of a standard cube, the likely outcomes are going to be 6, and the favorable will be 1, so the answer is 1/6. How about when you roll a sum of 5 on one roll of 2 standard numbers of cubes? So we're going to use the counting principle to figure out how many ways we can do that. That will be 6 times 6, which is 36. 36 possibilities. The favorable will be all of those when the face adds up to 5. And these are the 4 possible situations that could happen. And so that reduces to 1/9. All right, let's take a look at the probability of a 5, which is similar to what we just did. So that would be 1/6. What about even? When you roll it once, the numbers 2, 4, or 6 are the likely, which is 3 out of the total 6, and that reduces to 1/2. Pause and see if you can come up with the answer. And here's the answer. There are 10 coins altogether. 5 of them are favorable, and so the answer is 1/2. Pause. And here's the answer. I circled all of the favorable months out of 12 months, and so that would be the answer. Okay, it can be easier to use combinatorics to find the theoretical probability rather than listing and counting all the equally likely outcomes. Here's an example. You have what is the theoretical probability of being dealt 2 sevens in 5-card hand from a standard 52-card deck? All right, so we are going to have 5 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we want to get exactly 2. So we want 2 of these to be 7s. So that's going to be a combination of 4 chosen 2, because there are 4 cards in a deck. 4 7s in a deck. Now, the rest of the hand comes from the remaining cards, and the remaining cards are those that are not 7s. So these are the number of cards that are not 7s, and the other 3 cards coming over here will come from them. So a combination of 48 chosen 3. So when you multiply these two ways, ways here times ways here, that'll be the total ways you can get a 5-card hand. Now, a probability is, this is the favorable, this is the likely, and then this is the total. So you're going to put the likely up in the numerator and the total in the denominator, and this is your results. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. We have 7 musicians that are scheduled to perform, and the order in which the musicians perform is randomly selected during the show. So what is the probability that the musicians perform in alphabetical order by their last names? And B, you are friends with 4 musicians. What is the probability that the first 2 performers are friends? Okay, so let's take a look at how we deal with that. Well, the number of ways to choose 7 musicians, 7 at a time, is 7 factorial. And alphabetical order, that'll only be 1. That'll be only 1 out of all those ways to do that. You are friends with 4 of the musicians. What is the probability that the first 2 performers are your friends? Okay, so the favorable will be combination of 4 chosen 2. That's only out of your friends. And then out of the total, remember there are 7 altogether. So when you compare the favorable out of the total, 7 chosen 2, because we're only talking about the first 2 slots. And that'll be 2 7s. Okay, pause, see what you can do. And here's the answer. We want to do 2 months with 31 days. Okay, so what is the probability of 2? So there are 7 favorable with 31 days, combination of 7 chosen 2, and altogether there are 12 months, and we're going to be choosing 2. So we're taking a look at viewing those 2 ratios.